And for this one, there are also two scenarios. This is the stock for Apple, and then what if I want to play around with the future, say S&P? Let's see what happens over here. The volume is in the second table over here for the S&P futures. But for the stock, you can see the volume is over the first table, in the first table. And this is for the futures is in the second table. Therefore, we need to specify the diff for the left-hand side table for the stock, and then for the futures, we need to specify the diff for the right-hand side tables to achieve the volume. So they are different. So there are two paths that we need to set. To cater these two scenarios, we will first identify whether it's a futures or this is a stock. In that case, that is as you can see, there's a equal F. That means this is a future. So we will just check the code to see if the last two letter is equals to futures. We check whether or not the last two letters is equals to equal F, that is future. If that is a F, we will then specify a path that identify the right-hand side table. And then on the other hand, if that is not, we will then again identify it on a left-hand side table. But just to let you know, Yahoo also store all these value into a thin streamer. So we'll keep thin streamer over here. But just let you know how we could possibly identify this right-hand side table. Here we go. And this is the diff class that we are looking for. This is the diff class that we are looking for. Okay? I already have this path, so I'm not going to copy this. This is the diff class, okay? This is pretty long, so just make sure that I got it correct. This is the fins. Okay. Okay, so this is the path for the right-hand side table for the future. What about for the stock? Let me see. Okay, here we go. This is for the right-hand side table. Oh, sorry, not the right-hand side table. I need this. I need this one. This is the Here we go. I need to get the volume over here. So this is the left-hand side table. This is the data that I would like to get. So this is the volume data that I would like to get. And also, let me show you, things are also stored in thin streamer in this case. Here are the values that we would like to achieve. So we need to get this div class and then find the thin streamer to get this volume. Again, I also have this path. So there are some, I guess there's some typo, so I just make sure that is correct. And then for this one, let me copy and paste just to make sure they are correct. Okay, cool. Here we go. Now, let me print you the tabs to show you what we got. Okay, and yep, we need to assign all of this into an empty list first. In this case, there's only one data stored in the thin streamers, or there's only one thin streamers in the left-hand side table and also in the right-hand side table. So you can see that is the volumes that we would like to have. So similar to previous cases, we cannot find anything. If we cannot find anything, we will just give it an error, and then of course we need to set the volumes equals to an empty list. And then for the volume, of course, if we find something inside this list, in this case, particularly, that is the only element in this list, we'll just assign it as the volume. Now we just build the volume. The next things that I would like to get is the 1 year's target estimate. And again, we will use these functions to achieve the 1 year's target estimate. However, for this time, the 1 year's target estimate is not stored in a thin streamer. This is not stored in a thin streamer. So in that case, it's just stored inside this particular table. So in that case, I cannot use the thin streamers to help me to get this value out. So I need to assign a none over here, and also, and I need to take care of this case. But before we take care of this case, particular case, I just would like to identify the path for your reference. This is the right-hand side table for this time. So I will just copy this path, and I've already got the path. So I will just copy and paste here. For your case, please just copy again, just copy this path, div class, for the class path. Now we can go back to these functions to cater these cases that the data are not stored in the theme streamer. In that case, I will, because this is not installed in a theme streamer, I need to handle it in a with another way. So I just set this as none over here. So if this value is equals to none, that is not equals to none, so it will go for this. If that is equals to none, now we will build these functions, build this scenario. But in this case, I want to show you what I got first. If I just get all these informations, get the text in this web contents div. And in that case, let me try to see if I can print the text over here. And this is the two things that I still have on the side. So and another place. Let's try to see if I can show you what I got at this point. And here we go. Now you can see we retrieve all these informations, and the only informations that I'm interested is this 1 year target price. That is this one. So I just got this. What I wanted to do is to try to separate them. So later on, I can put them back into the text that I want. Over here, I just would like to separate them by stroke or by slash, something like that, and then make the script equals to true over here. And then for this text, I will then just separate them by using split. And everything will now be in a list. And in that case, maybe let me show you if I can print you the text over here. Let me show you two ways. This is the first text that we have, and that is the second text I have. And let me assign empty to an empty list to make sure that it runs successfully. Here we go. So here you can see in the first get text contents, we just separate them by a stroke over here. And then I just use the dot split methods and split them again into a list. And now, of course, this is the values that I'm interested. But just for your information, this value is for the S&P. I'm not going to store them. What I'm interested is this one. This is the first year's target estimates. That is the estimated price for Apple. This is what I'm interested. I'm not interested for the estimate price for the futures, because that is not what they provide. They just provide you a ask price over here. So I need to separate them later on. But for here, we just achieve the tax successfully. And what I want is just the last value. That is over here. The last value over here. Now, if I go back to the main functions over here, now we can store the text just like what we have. If the text is, if we can have something, got something from this text, that means there's no error. Just in case if there's if there's a error over here, this 1 year target, I will just assign it with an empty list. Let me remove this one. And then there's two conditions. Remember, if that is a futures, we do not have that 1 year target. So in that case, that 1 year target will be an empty list. On the other hand, if let's say stock, and of course then we will just store these tabs. And lastly, finally, we need to work this out. This is the latest pattern. Remember that Yahoo just remove these patterns. So what I need to do here is just to provide an empty list. And the only reasons that why I keep this here is because for this one, you do not need to change anything. When you watch the videos in Python for finance series, say so from number 3 to number 7. So you do not need to change anything. But here, you can just provide an empty list. Now we got everything. It's time for us to store the data. You can store the data to whatever files that you want. And of course, when you are doing the real-time plotting, make sure that they are pointing to the same CSV file. And here, first thing first, we create an info empty list that will help me to store all these informations over here. And now it's because I'm based in Hong Kong, I need to shift to US times, just in case if that is a winter, that is 13 hours, and if that is summer, that is 12 hours between Hong Kong's and US, because they have the dates like savings. So I need to create a timestamp that is now, and then minus 12 hours or 13 hours, because Hong Kong is is faster than, I mean, in terms of the time zone, is faster than US. And then just make sure that we got this format, that is years, month, day, hours, minutes, seconds, because most likely we're going to retrieve the data in second. So this is the format that I would like to make sure is that we got in order for us to plot the candlestick chart especially. So just make sure that you get a timestamp to the data that you download. So now we have the timestamp, we have the informations. I just would like to say, just follow the previous format. Just make sure things are done correctly. First we append the stock data, and then the second column, that is the changes. And then the third column is the volume, and then the fourth column is the latest patterns, and then the last columns, that is the 1 year's target. Remember that this also returns you an error, just in case if there's something wrong. In that case, if errors is not equals to 0, that means there's something wrong. You can just break it. And of course, you can also print out the error code. Say, for example, if you can assign a connections error into 2, and then for this index error into 3 or something like that. And then later on, you can identify which types of error that you have while you are doing the web scraping. And I also want to have these timestamps, because right now it will help me to look through the entire stock list. This is the stock list. So we have 5 columns for the S&P futures, and then we have another 5 columns for the Apple. And now we have the I wanted to identify the timestamp that I retrieved this data. So in that case, I will just assign it into a column, and then of course extend these with the informations over here. And finally, I will just assign them into a data frame and just do a transpose over here, remember. And you will get everything correct. Now we are ready to save this CSV file. For me, I just store everything over the OneDrive nowadays. So please, just like what I mentioned, please specify the path that you would like to save it into. And then for this time, I would like to save things into this path. Remember that the mode is A over here. That means we're going to append every single data that you capture row by row into the existing file if you have. So this is so remember you need to use the mode A. And then I also save the things into an path just for my own reference. But of course, you can save to whatever you want, just like what I mentioned. So there are two paths that I'm saving. One is over the OneDrive, and the other is the current path. So if I just run this program, you can see this is the, you can see this is the first column that I'm saving. Now we are ready to save the path. So I will use these two CSV methods to save the path, to save the file. And this is the, and you can specify any path that you would like to have. But remember that these paths have, if you are doing the plotting, the automated plotting, remember that these paths have to be the same as the data that you retrieve from that file. For this one, I will just store it into the current path. And then let me also print out the result. Now, if I run this, and you can see now it continues to retrieve the data. And if I go open the file, here we go. You can see we got the date, we got the price, we got the price changes, we got the volume, and then one is the patterns, one is the estimated targets. We do not have that in the future. And for apples, we have all these similar informations. So just a very quick recap, Yahoo Finance recently have updated the class path, some of them, and also updates instead of using a spam, they use a thin streamers to store the data. And so in that case, we need to change the class path, and also we need to change the tag that is stored the data. In some of the cases, it does not store the data into the thin streamers, so we need to use other methods to cater for that situations. And in some extreme cases is that they just remove some of the informations. But to make sure that it aligns with the lessons that I've done before, with the lessons Python for Finance number 3 to number 7, that is the lessons that I teach you how to automate this plotting. Just to make sure that when you store the data, you still can do the automated plotting. And I just keep everything remain unchanged to make sure that you can continue to follow those lessons. So I hope you find these updates useful. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.